So tell us about photobiomodulation, how it helps at a cellular level, how it works in the mitochondria, why we need to have more red light and infrared. And I'm a big believer in infrared sauna, which gives you near infrared and mid infrared sort of wavelengths. But, you know, let's talk about the average person who doesn't know anything about photobiomodulation. Why should they, you know, look at getting red and infrared light?
You're absolutely on the point here, because people just often ask me, and they say, light, what does it do? I mean, we're in the light every day. Why is suddenly, you know, FlexBeam giving you this healing property and everything? But of course, the point is that with the devices, or particularly with FlexBeam, this is amplified light. It's like 10 times more potent, which is shine into very specific area on the skin. And what it does on cellular level, photons of light, they absorbed by every cell in the body, yes, but we have specifically to red spectrum and near-infrared spectrum, it absorbs in mitochondria. Mitochondria, for those who don't know, it's a little like energy plants in the body. They generate energy for you in the shape of ATP. It also improves the electron flow of the electrons, which is again recharging your mitochondria, like your potential in the cell. So it gives physical energy to the cell. And how does it do it? It's very simple. Just imagine this a solar panel. Yes, solar panel has photosensitive stuff which absorbs photons and converts into flow of the electrons. In a very similar way, our cells inside, like cytochrome C oxidase, the enzyme which absorbs photons of light, it's actually a pigment. So it converts light into flow of electron and gets energy going. And together with this process, very interesting thing happens. So it binds better with oxygen. And you know, you need oxygen to make energy. So once it binds better with oxygen, it actually kicks out the nitric oxide. And this nitric oxide is the ultimate vasodilator. So what's happening at the area where you shine the red lights, that's what's happening. More blood flow into this area because blood vessels are dilated. So better blood flow brings more oxygen, more nutrients, and it actually enables the healing of the injury, for example. And yes, you mentioned about infrared sauna. Infrared saunas are very interesting because at the beginning they were like kind of mid-range, far-range infrared sauna. Yes, so they basically emanate the long wave in infrared, and they have a slightly different absorption type in the human body because that light is absorbed by water molecules. So immediately you feel that heat that generated, because their water molecules go in a more excited state. But now you see the modern infrared saunas, they have also a near-infrared spectrum. And near-infrared spectrum is the one which specifically stimulate mitochondria. So if you compare this with FlexBeam, FlexBeam operates on near-infrared lights and red lights, which targets mitochondria. So this healing, this stimulation happens without heating tissue or very little of heating tissue. Whether more, if you go into mid-range and far-range, then you combine it with heating the tissue. So, and why I want to stress on this point, it's physiologically very important because sometimes if you deal with huge inflammation, if you start heating up, you can create more of inflammation. Whether when you use near-infrared spectrum, you actually reduce inflammation, but through different mechanisms, but it's got anti-inflammatory effect. So for that reason, I would say if you have sauna, you could also have the FlexBeam because it operates on slightly different level.